Hey.
Yep, thank you. Okay, thank you. Today I'm going to present a paper by Luke Miner. It's basically trying to see the impact of internet access, the growth of internet access to political outcomes in Malaysia. Okay, so I think I want to introduce the paper at first by some people arguing that the role of internet is increasing, especially as a democratizing force for that can free information from the control of the government. As you can see here in the, like for the case of China, they make up what people say the China firewall, great firewall, because they kind of make a censorship or filtering to the internet. And recently we also have the Egypt revolutions, in which the government is really afraid of the role of internet in spreading all the news about that against the government. And this can be clearly seen in this graph. It's the onset of Egypt revolutions. It's the y-axis is the internet traffic. In January, 27th of January, it's like a normal. It's increasing, but normal. And then the government tried to shut down the internet on the next day, on 28th of January. So it's kind of showing the fear of the government that the internet could play a role, but eventually it's just failed. In this respect, I would say that Malaysia serves as an interesting example, because first one is that the incumbent party is the Barisan Nasional, has already have in power for decades, and they have great control over the media, especially in the mainstream media like the newspaper, TV, and radio. The second point is that Malaysia have made great efforts in increasing the internet access, and the interesting thing is that they do not make censorship to the internet. So they said it's to attract the foreign investors. And the rate of access to internet is pretty much high, 56% for Malaysia and middle income countries. And this uncensored media of the internet made the websites or independent news sites for the, the opposition party of the government blooming in Malaysia, especially during the period 2004 and onwards. And the interesting thing is that in March 2008, during the legislative elections, the BN, the incumbent party, has lost its two-thirds majority in the parliament. So I think that's a good background for this, why the author choose Malaysia. This is the theoretical model. I think I'm going to skip this and back to this if we have time for speaking about this one. But basically, the model is result with predictions, with 3 predictions that I'm going to translate it into the following research questions. First one is true. The author asking whether it's true that increasing in the internet access is going to lead to decrease in the vote share of the incumbents. So if saying the internet access, the growth of internet access is increasing, is that true that it's going to reduce the vote share of the incumbents? That's the main research questions. And we also have 2 additional research questions. The first one is true also if those increase will lead to lower victory margins. It means that the victory margins defined as the difference between the vote share get by the winner minus the second highest vote party in the elections. So, and that only for the districts that are successfully defended by the incumbents. And the third research question is that does increase in internet growth is going to lead to higher turnover? Turnover means that the district is no longer dominated by the incumbent, by the Barisan Nasional, but replaced by the opposition party. And Malaysia is people say that Malaysia is a pseudo-democracy, so it's conducting the regular elections, but the control of the government is really strong over the media, over the police, judiciary. So that's really interesting for this paper. And the analysis began with the OLS. It's very simple, in which the dependent variable is the change in the vote share for Barisan Nasional at district I and state S at time t. But the data itself is cross-sections. It's based on 2 points of time, 2004 and 2008. But as you see, that's the delta that concern here. So it's the change or the growth of the vote share. And the main dependent variable, the main coefficient that we want to look at is the alpha 2. That's the coefficient for the IP per voter. So this IP per voter is a variable that solely constructed by the author based on IP geolocation informations. It's not usual data that usually come from survey to the household or something, but it's based on the actual IP addresses in certain district, and they sum it and they average into 12, so that it's representing the monthly access to the internet. And it's normalized by the number of eligible voters in the district. So it's kind of showing how much, how high or how large is the internet access in that particular regions, in that particular district in Malaysia. And X is a set of control variables that are pertaining to each district, like GDP, urbanizations, migrations, and other stuff. Okay, the OS shows early indications that there is a negative relationship, means that increase in internet access is associated with a lower share of the Barisan Nasional. So, but however, as you know, OLS is very prone to endogeneity problem. And therefore, the author is moving to the second type of analysis. It's the IV estimates. In this IV, the author is using 3 instruments in the first test regressions, which are based on the distance from the center of the districts to the 3 largest backbones in Malaysia. So in Malaysia, they have 3 major backbones. That's time, TM, and fiber rail. TM is the state-owned, time is private-owned, and fiber rail basically in the cables of the internet is running along the railroad system in Malaysia. And they calculate the distance from the center of the district to those 3 different backbones. And they use it as the instrument for the IP per voter. And then they use the fitted value for it to doing the second stage regressions. Okay. And this is the graph of the network. So interestingly, the regression is only based on the peninsular part of Malaysia. It's not all for the whole part of Malaysia. This is one of the weaknesses of the paper, but I'm going to speak about it later. This is the first stage regression, shows that there's only 2 variables, 2 instruments that are significant. The third instrument, the TM, is not significant, so probably it's not a good early start for the IV results. However, the authors keep moving on and doing the second set of regressions. And it shows that the variable is confirming the early indication from the OLS. It's negative and significance. And the magnitude is pretty much higher than the OLS. And the author also made 5 different specifications with various other control variables like GDP, lack of eligible voters, and etc. I think it can answer the first set of questions in the face that increase in internet access is going to lead to a decrease in the vote share of the incumbent parties, the PNs. And putting this into context, in between 2004 and 2008, the growth of IP per voter is actually doubled, so it increased by 100%. So if we extrapolate the number from this one, from the previous table, the the role of this growth of internet access, it accounts for about a quarter to a third of the vote swing in this period, because the vote share of the BN decreased from 64% to 52% between those two periods. So if we use the estimates from the previous table, we see that it's contributing, say, about a quarter to a third of the vote swing. And the other is trying to make some informal analysis on checking the validity of the instruments. I think I have to show the table before. In the table, if you see that in the bottom, we have the Hansen test. It's basically testing the null hypothesis that all the instruments are jointly valid, that is not correlated with the error term. And the Hansen test shows that the null hypothesis cannot be rejected, means that the instruments are jointly valid. However, the author also made the additional check for this one. That the first one is that there is possible pre-internet trend, so that the decrease in the vote share is not due to the internet, but due to something unknown in the areas crossing backbones. And the author tried to make the test for this by directly estimate the instruments to the vote share for 3 different periods. The result is mixed. So between this period, the first period, 86 to 19, the estimated coefficient is not significant. In 1995, it's significant, but in 2004, it's not significant. So it's kind of mixed relationship. So it's not. It's possible that there is a pre-internet trend actually happening in those districts. The second test is that there is a alternative channel that translates the difference based on the road, because as the data shows that the TM and time backbones are run alongside the major road in Malaysia. So it's along the federal road and the district road. And probably there is something in that road that can affect the outcomes. So, but the author argued that it might not be true, because the backbones are built prior to 1980s, and why should it happen in 2004 if that's the case, because the effect happens only in 2004, 2008. And it can also be tested by adding distance to the road to the models, so to see if the coefficients for the IP per voter, the growth of IP per voter, is increasing or not, or changed or not, or it's becoming not significant. But the result shows that the coefficient remains statistically significant, and the magnitude is basically not changed. The other also doing the placebo regressions. It's basically say that people in districts in Malaysia probably have already have predisposed to swing against the BN. It means that people in that district maybe already do not like the party, so they will vote against that party anyway, despite of the internet growth there, for some unknown reasons. But and this can be tested by using by running the OLS, in which the BN share, the dependent variable is still the BN share, but it's from the previous elections. So from 1986, 1990, and the other period. So it's kind of whether to see if the effect of this IP per voter is an artifact, is something that already happened before or not. The result shows that there is no significant relationship between these two variables. In the coefficient for IP per voter is not significant, so it's kind of strengthening the first result that this increase in internet access does really lead to reduction in the vote share of the Barisan Nasional. And the second research questions regarding with the lower victory margins. This can be done by running the OLS and IV And the dependent variable is victory margins, as I said before, but they restrict on the data only for district where the BN won the elections, because they wanted to see victory margins is the winner minus the second highest vote party. The winner is of course the BN. That's why they only restrict the data for district that BN won the elections. The diffusion is negative and significant, as you can see here, for all specification 1 to 4, and it confirmed the prediction from the theoretical models that the that increase in internet access is going to lead to lower victory margin. The margin victory is becoming thinner once the internet access is growing. Okay. And the last research questions is regarding with the turnover. And this can be tested by running probit IV and probits using the dummy variables for the BN victory. So it's equal to 1 if Barisan Nasional won the election in that district and 0 otherwise. And it's estimated at the level, so it's not at growth, so it's at level. And yeah, it's using probit and probit IV. But the result is not so much satisfying. It's only significant for the probit. So high internet use seems to reduce the chance of the incumbent party to win the elections. I have to say that the data is only for districts that won the election in previous previous elections. So, for example, in that red box in 2008, it means that the party won the elections. The incumbent party won the election previous in 2004. So. But as you can see here, in the IV probit in the first stage is not significant. Probably just one coefficient that's significant. So it's very weak instrument, and we cannot basically infer so much information from the second stage of the IV probit. That's the conclusions. Basically, wrapping up all the research question as the answer. And I'm going to move now to the critics and comments for this paper. First one, I want to say that this paper is very detailed, it's very thorough. The author has made some really good job with very limited data sets, especially with the IP performance specific. I think it's the first time this kind of data is used to measure the internet access. And in fact, the IP performance coming up after the author made several candidates for variable for internet diffusions, and it comes up that the IP performer is the most appropriate one. And the author is pretty much honest. He provides informations, even if the estimation is not significant, he still keep posting it, so it's going to reduce the possibility of publication bias. And the theoretical model also have quite helpful to see the general mechanism on how internet access can affect the political outcomes in general. At first, I think that the author is trying to do specific searchings. However, after a closer look, we see that it's actually trying to capture what's missing or bias in the specification. For example, in first specifications, the author said that probably there is a missing variable here, like that internet might be a proxy for wealth or income. That's why the author then adding the GDP per capita, for example, to counter that arguments. And he kept doing that for 4 to 5 specifications. And I think the interesting thing is that he doesn't hide all the results. Instead, the result from each different specification showing that our coefficient of interest remains significant, stable, consistent, and the value is not so much changed even after controlling for several specifications. And yeah, it's about the last point. I think it's that about the exclusion resistance test. And however, I have some critics for this one, especially about the The data is only based on the peninsular part of Malaysia. It just consists of 427 districts out of the actual 518. It's the map of Malaysia. It's the light beige color. It's the peninsular Malaysia. That one that's been used in the estimations. And this one in Sarawak and Sabah is not included. The others say that the data in this part of Malaysia is too noisy, and the area is too sparse, and so many arguments that he decided not to include that in the estimations. And and one interesting thing is that it excludes Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur is the capital of Malaysia. The authors say that it's excluded because the Kuala Lumpur doesn't hold legislative actions, so it's basically impossible to put there. But as we know that Kuala Lumpur is big, it has the power of the economy basically left there, and I think people that are mostly concerned with government and stuff are mostly coming from big cities like Kuala Lumpur, so it might undermine the impact of this research. And regarding with the instruments, TM is not, as you can see there, that TM is not significant, but TM is the state-owned, and it's one of the largest internet provider for the backbone, providing over half of private internet connection in that period. So with this one, the instrument might be problematic, that the bias in this estimation might approach the bias in the OLS. So I'm not barely convincing on these instruments. But however, it's fortunate that there's only one is significant out of these three instruments. And yes, the second point is about the cross-sectional data, so we cannot basically see the trend for the estimations. Yeah, there is a mixed result, as I previously said. So there is probably that some unknown heterogeneity, some unknown factors that can affect voters in spite of this growing in internet access. And IV from the last research questions is not significant, so probably we have on the probit one, the probit IV is not significant, so there's a probability that there's a heterogeneity problem in that case. And I think the last point is that there are two possibilities for the estimates. It's either overestimate or underestimates. Overestimates might happen because increase in access to the internet, the increased use of the internet doesn't necessarily mean that people that use the internet opening those political sensitive stuff or those independent news sites, right? We can use the internet to do many things, not necessarily for anti-government websites. So it might overestimate the true effect of internet growth in Malaysia. However, as I said before, Kuala Lumpur is excluded, so probably Kuala Lumpur there are more people that are anti-government to Kuala Lumpur that excluding them might make the estimates become underestimated. So the author did not address this, and we cannot know about the net effect of internet access in Malaysia. And I think that's it. And maybe just one additional is that the confidence level that the government that the author used is not determined ex ante. So he just using if the variable is significant at either 1, 5, or 10% is not determined previously. So that might be problematic. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you. The what?
Level of electoral fraud.
Electoral fraud.
Yeah, I think
I'm not so sure, but I think the most problematic with from what I heard and from what I read from this paper is that it's not in the rigging of the election itself, but it's in the way the government can control over the media. So the government can control, for example, if a newspaper is saying bad things about the government, and probably that newspaper is going to have a bad luck by being censored by the government or do not give any permission to publish newsletter again. I think that's kind of control over the media and over